not sure if you ever heard this statement, but I listen to young folk a lot. Try to keep up with the youngsters' slang. So when they talk around me, I play dumb, but I pretty much know what they mean in most cases. It's a new term I've heard, life be lifey. Now, sounds a little repetitive, redundant, doesn't really have foundation, but when you do a little research, you find that it means life has issues that generally show up, and some of them are common. So since it's life, life be lifing. Yeah. Today I want to talk a little bit about defeating trauma-based fear. Because when people generally say life be lifing, they're referring to things that they've had to encounter or overcome more than once. Some of those things seem to not want to leave or move. So they expect it to come back again. So life be lifing, meaning they're having struggles, having issues, things they can't seem to shake, problems they can't seem to overcome. And in life, we all know we take bumps and we take bruises, have our wins and we take losses. What I found is that the losses generally stay with us. We forget the wins and remember the losses, and the losses linger. I like to use sports analogies a lot. They say one of the reasons Kobe Bryant was so great is because he forgot his last shot. Whether he made it or he missed it, he would just keep shooting. But for us in life, since life be lifing, usually when things don't go right, when we have a loss, that loss sits with us. Have a bad game, the game resonates. People ask you, how did you do at the game yesterday? Yeah, I had 15 points and 10 assists, but I had 8 turnovers. Did you win? Yeah, we won the game, but I didn't play good. And you remember the fact you didn't play good, so now when the next game comes, only thing you can think about is how bad you played the last game, when in actuality, you didn't play that bad. You had some issues, but the good outweighed the bad because we become our own worst critics. We can't get out of our head, and our head keeps us bound. You ever hurt yourself in a certain space, in a certain place on your body, and every time you went to move, you didn't want to do that again because you were afraid it was going to hurt the way it hurt the last time? Tore my knee up, y'all know this, playing basketball. The agent was right there, I went to lay up, made the layup on him, on his head, and went to look at it, and when I looked back, my knee gave out, tore the knee all the way up. And I realize now, when I see when athletes come back to sports, like, why can't they play like they used to? They say he lost a step. It's not that he lost a step. He's afraid to put the pressure on that knee because it's been torn up once. In the back of your mind, you think, will this be the time it happens again? And every time you think about it, your body won't allow you to move that way. Because your head says, don't do that again, because the last time you tried it, you hurt yourself. And self-preservation won't allow you to harm yourself the same way again. So you have to figure out how not to think about it and begin to get back in the groove of things. And what generally happens is, instead of thinking about it, there'll be something that catches your attention, something you're trying to do, and you put maximum effort in it, and you realize when you did it, it didn't hurt. And since it did, that time it didn't hurt, you begin to say, well, maybe let me try it again. And you try just a little bit, but not the same amount of vigor you had at first, until you can finally get out of your head and say, I can now play the same way I played before. And that generally takes time. Trauma is the same way. You've been hurt before. People have hurt you, broken your heart. You've tried things and failed. And the moment you try and fail, and it stings, now you become afraid. And fear is a tormentor that keeps us from growing. We don't want to try. We don't want to stretch. We don't want to go outside the parameters we've already set. Because I fear if I go outside what I'm used to, I'm going to hurt myself or be hurt again. So we just stop trying. And we stop trying and we stop growing. And when we stop growing, we see other things materialize around us. Those that started with us that don't have fear begin to grow. And now you the guy or the lady sitting at home on Instagram on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and now you sitting there mad because 10 years later, the folks that started with you that don't have fear and stepped out on faith are growing, and you stuck in the same place. Don't get mad at them. It's your fault. I ain't talking to y'all, I'm talking to me. I've been saying I'm going to go back to school for I don't know how many years. I ain't filled out man application to go nowhere. But I look on LinkedIn, oh my God, I got on LinkedIn, that was, oh my God. Man, you know people out here really living good, man. They growing, they graduating from college and getting degrees. And I'm stuck in the same boat that I was in because I was afraid to try. Because when you step out, it don't go the way you think it should, you get hurt. And when you get hurt, you don't want to hurt again, so you stop trying. Proverbs 23:7, the Bible says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. We've used that term and said, as a man thinketh, so is he. Meaning, if you think you are defeated, you are. But if you think you're a winner, you are. The question is, what do you think about yourself after you've been hurt? I don't walk around with no shoes on because I'm from the country. Now, I went outside one day and stepped on something that hurt my foot. And I said, I'm not doing that again, so I put my shoes on. Every time I go outside now, I put my shoes on. But if by chance I happen to go outside without my shoes on, all I'm thinking about is stepping on something and hurting my foot again. So I can't even walk outside free because I'm walking gingerly, trying to protect myself from being hurt, even though nothing is there that can hurt me. But in the back of my mind is tormenting me because I'm thinking I'm going to be hurt again. I'm thinking I won't be able to succeed if I take this route because I've never been that way before. I'm afraid of trying because if I try, I will be hurt the same way I was hurt the last time. And since I don't want to be hurt, I'm not going to try. When you come to church, why do you come to church? Do you come to church to grow? Or do you come to church because it's Sunday? Do you come to church to get something out of it that can help you throughout the week? Or do you come because it's Sunday? Because if you're only coming because it's Sunday, you're going to miss what God has for you, and the fear will never leave. Yes. Because you don't have anything to have faith in. Well, I don't know why this fly is bothering me today. That's the devil trying to torment me like that fear torments you. And if you ever try to get a fly at your face, it keep moving. Every time you do this, it go. You can hit yourself 4 or 5 times and the fly's still there. The same way fear gets you when you won't move. God has told me to try. He's told me to do. And instead of you moving, you figure out how many reasons you shouldn't try. He's giving you the way, and you see the way, and he'll say, go. And instead of you moving, you say, well, no, I can't cause. The Lord urges us to come out of that. 2 Timothy 1. Verses 6 and 7, the Bible says, wherefore, I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of God, which is in thee, by the putting on of my hands. Paul is talking to Timothy before he leaves. You know he's about to die. And Timothy is supposed to carry on the mission that Paul started. And he knows that there's going to be difficult days. There's going to be some trauma. There's going to be some things that frighten him because Paul knows his role and how he had to walk, how they tried to kill him, how he was going against the grain, and the enemy didn't want him to succeed, so he began to throw up roadblocks, even threatening his life. So he knows Timothy's going to go through that, and he also knows how it feels to be afraid. He knows how it feels when depression sets in because he didn't want to try. So he tells Timothy, I've laid my hands on you, meaning I've given you my anointing. And when things get hard, I want you to remember that I laid my hands on you. But not just remember that. Remember that so you can stir up the gift. Y'all know I love the barbecue. Labor Day coming. You know what's about to happen. When you put your charcoal on the grill, the charcoal gets white on the ends. And when it gets white on the end, you know it's time to put your meat on there. And when you put your meat on there, let it burn for a few minutes, maybe 30, 45 minutes. The charcoal begins to get ash because it has burned. You have to take your poker and then stir the ash away so the charcoal that hasn't been burned yet can begin to burn. But you have to remove that which is already burned by stirring it up. What happens to us is trauma is like those ashes. And trauma sits on our fire. And while the fire may still be burning, it can't blaze. It cannot blaze because we've allowed the worry, the frustration, the pain, the hurt to consume us and snuff out the gift that God has put in us because we are afraid to move. But when you stir it up, if oxygen gets on the wood that ain't been burned yet, when the oxygen gets onto it, the blaze comes back and you have a new flame. The same way God wants us to stir up the gift in us when we become afraid. He didn't give us a spirit of fear. What you mean, preacher? Verse 7, for God had not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Why would he say God has not given you a spirit of fear after he says stir up the gift? Because he knows fear is what will put out and make you afraid, and your flame will no longer burn. You can't be light in dark places if you don't have a flame. You can't provide heat if you don't have a flame. You can't do the thing God has called you to do if you are afraid to move because you've been working, and working leaves residue. You know, ashes are just fuel that's been consumed. It's the exhaust. It's the waste. The waste of working can weigh you down if you don't shake it off. Y'all know I got a new barbecue pit a few years ago, and in the barbecue pit I got, it's got grates that keep the charcoal lifted so I can shake the ashes off and they get caught. You know, the old barrel that we used to have in Mama's house, it only had place on the bottom for the charcoal and the ash. Meaning when the ashes came, you couldn't separate the two. So it'd be hard to keep the fire going. Sometimes you may have to add some more charcoal, not because it's all burned out, but because it cannot burn, because the ash is in the way. How do you remove the ash from your life so you can continue to flourish? So God can continue to use you. Because what generally happens is when you've been hurt, totally, you got to know when you get started, there's going to be some trouble. There's going to be some haters. There's going to be some people trying to take you out. Because people don't want to see you succeed. They don't want to see you grow. Because generally when you grow, you leave them behind. And when you leave them behind, they feel some type of way because they feel like they ought to be better than you. Yes. Especially if you come from the same place. Got the little friend, y'all got the friend used to eat out the same cereal bowl with you. You know, yeah, when you were 6, 7 years old, y'all had the one bowl of corn flakes or frosted flakes or Circle O's. Yeah, because we have no money in the bag of cereal, you get them Circle O's. And you eat together, y'all love each other, playing, riding the same bike, y'all wear each other clothes to school because y'all tight, y'all brothers. But then one day, you decide to go this way, he decided to go that way. And then you look up, and you excel, and he has more, you haven't excelled, he has. And you got to make a decision. How do you act the next time you see him? Not because he's done something to you, but you all have grown apart. You've taken separate courses in life. And at the moment, you have to ask yourself a question. Am I upset because he left me? Or am I proud of the growth he's made? And generally, human nature, we get jealous, we get envious, and we get mad. So much so, we go to the class reunion. So y'all young folk don't remember about this. You go to the class reunion, and the ones that are doing good over here, the ones that ain't doing so good over there, but then you bring your wife with you, and then they want to bring up the fact that you weren't always smart. They want to bring up the stuff that you didn't want your wife to know because they try to diminish you in her eyes. Yeah. Because people are petty like that. Yeah. You have to learn that you cannot allow them to keep you from trying. Why I said it? Because now next year you don't want to go back to the class reunion because you got some trauma. You're afraid to try because you've been hurt. The Bible says that the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Fear is a tormentor, ladies and gentlemen, and does not allow you to grow. 1 Corinthians, the Bible tells us that God is not the author of confusion. Meaning, the Lord is not in mess. And when God gives you a vision and a reason to move, if you are doubting yourself, that's not from the Lord. God does not tell you to go and then make you question him. That fear comes from the enemy, the tormentor, that wants to keep you stuck. That's why when it's time to go, instead of moving, you're thinking about why you shouldn't. And when the enemy really begins to hit you, things start to weigh you down. Then you become afraid to move Because you don't go to James chapter 1. This is why a lot of saved folk don't grow. Because they've given themselves over to him. And they even love him with all their heart. But when God gives us instructions, he's like a good father that expects his instructions to be followed. But if you are afraid to move because you've been hurt in the past, you can't expect God to bless you. James 1 verse 6, Bible says, I actually start at verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given unto him. I mean, if you ask God for wisdom, he will give it to you freely, verse 6. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You cannot say, God, I believe you, God, I trust you. Then God say, go, and you say, wait a minute. If you trust God, you have to give him all of it. Even when it gets hard, even when you become afraid, because when you become afraid, that's when you really need to trust. You don't have to trust God when everything's going good. You got money in the bank, food in the refrigerator, you got a full tank of gas. You don't need to trust God. You got everything you need. But let the money run low. Let the refrigerator go out. Yes, ma'am, Miss Charlene.
I believe you too, that when you said when you get it, you talking to your church about it.
You need to trust him at all times, yeah. But what you trusting him for? You got everything. Well, I'm going to trust you to give me when I got it. Now, you make sure you're thinking too hard. If I got money, I don't need to trust God for money. He already gave it to me. But when I run out of money, that's when I got to trust God to know he's going to give me some more.
But don't we have to trust him for life?
You thank him for what you got. You don't trust him for what you already got. That's how you know how to worship. You thank him. See, what happens is generally that people have it and they stop thanking, then he take it, then they want to have faith and trust him. So you long as you got it, you don't have to have trust because you got it. It's like having faith. You don't need faith for what you got because you got it. Yeah, you don't need hope for what you don't need faith for what you can see. If you can see it, you hope for it. Don't have faith for it. You have faith when you don't see the next step. So that's why the Lord tells us if you have fear, you can't have faith because fear works like, I know some of the, y'all scared of dog. You ever been in your house? 2 o'clock in the morning, you got to go to the bathroom. Ain't nothing on, everything quiet, and you hear something go boop in the kitchen. What you gonna do? Somebody going to get a bat, somebody going to get a gun, somebody going to get a flashlight, but you ain't walking in there like it's your house. You walking in there afraid of what's in the dog. Because you don't know what it is because y'all scared of the dog. You scared of the dog. I know you. Don't look at me. I know you scared of the dog. You ain't going outside 10 o'clock with no lights on. You're going to turn the light on first before you walk outside because you're scared of the dog. Because you don't know what's in there. If you knew what was out there, you wouldn't be afraid. But since it's unknown, that's what you're afraid of. So when you have to have faith, how do you have faith and fear of the unknown? You can't. He said, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. If you believe God, you believe God. If you don't believe God, you don't. There is no in-between. And what happens is if I've been hurt in an area and God sends me back that way, I'm afraid to go. Because I don't want to be hurt again because trauma is real and it resides in our subconscious. Meaning we don't even know we're still afraid of it until it's time to go there.
Yes.
And if you don't have faith in God when it's time to move, you will be, what's the word they use? Paralyzed by fear. Meaning now there's things that I could reach, things that I could attain, things that are laid up for me, but I'm scared to go. You ever had a package at the post office, but you thought it was somebody that's trying to sue you, and you wouldn't go get it? Y'all don't know nothing about that. Yeah, they'll send you a certified letter. And since it's certified, that might be a bill or an indictment. And you don't want to go get that paperwork or what a child support warrant. You don't want to get that paperwork, so you let that stay at the post office. But it was really a gift from somebody. But you can't get your gift because you didn't go claim it. Right. Don't change what it is, but since you wouldn't go get it because you're afraid, you missed that check. Because the IRS was actually sending you a refund that they had held up that you were supposed to get 4 years ago. And now it's time for them to release it. They sent you a certified letter. But since you know you owe some child support. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways and should not expect anything from God. But God tries to let us know that while you may be afraid, and while the enemy may be winning, and while the situation may not seem like you can overcome. I'm not sure if you've ever been in a situation where you felt like giving up. I'm not sure if you've ever had issues from the devil to compound on you. It seems like every time you get over one thing, something else comes. Or when it's really bad, when one thing comes, before you can get over that one, another thing comes, and before you can even try to fight those two, something else comes, and you get to the place where you say, man, I'm so sick of this, I just want to give up. You feel like Job's wife, he ought to just cuss God and die. Because it seems like nothing you're doing is working, even though you're doing everything you think God said do, and you probably are. But since you've been traumatized with her before, and you see this, it seems like the same pattern, you forget that God sits high and looks low. And just like you missed the last shot, and you remember you missed the last shot, you forgot you made 7 in a row before that. Because we are stuck on the one that we didn't get right. We are stuck on the pain and don't want to be embarrassed anymore. So now we stop trying because we don't want people to look at us weird, even though God has set us up to win. We just don't know it. Why do you know that? Psalm 91. Psalm 91 Bible says at the beginning of verse 1, it says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That's us that live, breathe, and believe in God. He said, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Verse 2 says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Meaning all the foolishness folks saying, all the word they throw, all the hatred, all the shame. He said, why does it sound like it can hurt you? It is noise, and noise cannot harm you because it's just noise. Verse 5. He says, verse 4. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. For truth shall be thy shield and thy buckler. They can lie on you all they want to. They can try their best to defeat you with their words. But you shall be under his feathers, and truth shall be your shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, yes, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. They can kill as many folk they want to in Memphis, but you're going to be all right. Yes. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. Since you found your refuge in God, you are safe. Psalm says, I'm safe in his arms. We have to trust and believe that we are safe in his arms. Yes. Because sometimes you may feel like you're being threatened. But I told you, the storm on the outside of the house can never hurt you because you're protected by the home. Yes. The only way you get hurt is if you walk your stupid butt outside in the rain. Stay in the house and be secure because God gave you shelter in the time of storm. Yes. Not only a real shelter, meaning your home, he gave you shelter with his covering protection to be walking through shadow of death. Walking through enemies trying to tear you and snip it at your ankles, but no harm will come near thee. Thou shalt, verse 10, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall keep his angels. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. The Lord will send angels to protect you. Yes. He will send angels to cover you. Yes. You have angels protecting you right now. You can't see them because they ain't your business where they are. Yes. But they are with you everywhere you go. That's why he allows you to be able to live, move, and have your being. That's why you can't be afraid when foolishness comes around you, because it's just around. We are in the world, and the world is ruled by the enemy. We have to understand that this ain't our dwelling place. This ain't our home. We are just sojourners walking through, passing by. We only here for a blink of an eye. We're here for a temporary moment. We will live with God and reign with him in heaven when time comes for eternity.
Yes.
Right now, we just stuck down here in hell, living, walking, breathing, moving, and trying our best to make it in.
Yes. Yes.
Songwriter said, I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain. I ain't coming up on the easy street. No, I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain. If you ain't never been on the mountain that was rough, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You can't even find your footing sometimes. You may think it look good, and it may look like it's sure footing, and the minute you step on the rock, it moves. And when it moves, not only does it make you slip and lose your balance, but you hit your knee on the sharp, and then you begin to bleed. And now your ankle twisted, your knee busted, and it's hot, but it's rough, but you're trying to make it in. And you refuse to quit because you know if you can just get to the top. Verse 12, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against the stone. Lord said, don't worry about you twisting your ankle or busting your knee, because I'm going to make sure the angels protect you. The angels will cover you. Verse 13. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under thy feet, because he has set his love upon me. Therefore, when I deliver him, I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. The psalm said, I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. That's why I trust him. That's why I trust in God. That's how you overcome trauma that has you wrapped up in fear. By calling on the Lord, and you see him come and answer. And every time he answers, you get closer to believing that he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or even. But it takes you going through some stuff. You can't have a testimony without a test.
Yes. Yes.
You can't even have a message unless you've been through some mess. God will allow you to go through these things, not because he's angry with you, but because somebody is not as strong as you and needs to look to you to see how you can handle it so they can have faith in God.
Yes.
I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. He just said he tried to call Mike on the phone, and he couldn't get it. Said he called him 20 times. Meaning he really was trying to get to him. You ain't got to worry about calling God 20 times.
That's right.
Because he's going to answer. He ain't sending you the voicemail. His battery never dies. If you send up the chat to God, he will hear you and he will answer. Just be ready to handle what he tells you back.
Yes.
Because sometimes the answer you get ain't the answer you were looking for. But you're going to get an answer. But what will happen when you get the answer? Will you be debilitated by the trauma and fear, or will you move? Don't call on God if you don't want him to really tell you the truth.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Because when he tells you what to do, he expects you to move. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. This song has been resonating in my soul for weeks. Because I don't know about you, but I've had some rough days. I've had some trying times. I've had some stuff thrown at me that would take an average man out of here. I've had those that I've fed, those that I've taken care of, those that I've loved through hard times be the one enemy that tried to take me out. But God still said you got to help them and act like they ain't done nothing to you.
Yes. Yes.
You got to look them in the face, know what they did to you, and still smile.
Yes.
You got to look them in the face, know what they said about you, and still give them what they need. Because God said make sure they have what they need. You have to be the instrument, and sometimes it hurts.
Yes.
But if you don't do it, you are God. That's why I love the fact I sought him and he answered.
Yes.
He gave me strength when I was weak.
Yes.
He gave me power when I almost didn't have none. He encouraged me when I couldn't encourage myself. He loved me when I was unlovable. He thought of me in the time I was running from him. And in the midst of all of that, he still held my place in line.
Yes, he did.
Waiting on me to get it together. And when I got it together, he had all those things I was running from laid out waiting. I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. That's how you defeat trauma. lean to God and not to your own understanding. Scripture says, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Give me some music. And if we keep relying on God, stop trying to rely on our flesh, stop trying to rely on ourselves. If we keep leaning on God, trusting in God, the answer to all of our problems lie in him. He didn't send you here to be hurt. He sent you here to heal.
Yes, Jesus.
But you got to hurt before you can heal.
Yes, Jesus. Yes, Jesus.
You got to hurt before you can heal. In a couple weeks, I'm going to talk about how my side healing from the inside out, but ain't all the way there yet. But I'm healing. Every time I look in the mirror, I see that the wound is getting better than it was yesterday. It's better than it was the day before. It's closer to healing now than it was when I got injured. And if you remember when you're going through your situation, that you are closer to being delivered now than you were yesterday, you will keep moving. Don't let the fear keep you. Don't let the fear limitate you. Don't let the fact you've been hurt once think you'll be hurt again. Trust in God. Answer. He'll answer your prayer. And when he answers your prayer, be willing to move. Amen.